In this episode, you're going to hear how Sasha Karabut has gone from $137,000 in debt to having a business that's on track to doing $50 million in revenue this year. Honestly, it's a truly inspiring story and an epic podcast. I hope you enjoy it.
Direction and success way beyond what we ever previously thought possible. Here's your host, Frankie Lee.
Welcome back to the Frankie Lee podcast in 2021. And today we've got an absolute treat for you. And I can tell you something about this podcast before we even start. This guy has got a legendary hairline. Let's just start it there. But I would like to welcome onto the show today a man who has worked with the top people in the world, the Wolf of Wall Street being one of them. He owns several online businesses that are doing multiple seven-figure revenues. He employs 30 to 60 people across the globe in different locations. Mr. Sasha Karabut, welcome to the show.
What an introduction.
Mate, it's off the cuff.
Mate, that was awesome. Pleasure. It's an honor being here, man. It feels really good. I think we were saying this earlier. Being in a live studio environment, it's dope. I'm really pumped for this, man.
And do you know what? I introduced the most important thing first, the fact that you've got the best hairline in this room, mate.
in this room amongst the two of us.
Mate, I just thought it's, mate, honestly, I'm so jealous, mate. Honestly, you know what me and you look like right now?
What?
If I took my hat off, we would look like the before and after photo of a hair transplant. Yeah, that's what I reckon. Mate, where do we start? I think the most obviously, look, you went from like 137k to creating multiple seven figures in revenue in your business. Just how do you even get to having the 137k in the first place to be able to take your 137k and obviously and go and create a seven figure business?
Can I just say before we jump into that, I think one thing that's got me absolutely chuffed to this for this interview is your accent. I feel like it the UK British kind of thing.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah.
I feel like it brings with it like a whole level of like a higher IQ, a level of like a gentleman. You know what I mean? There's this level of like a certain kind of person.
You will never see me walk through a door before a woman, ever.
No, I can feel that, and I feel like the questions are everything comes with this like higher level of like 3-piece suit kind of attire. It's like white glove treatment. So I'm pumped, dude. I'm really pumped.
I honestly, when you obviously you agreed to do this and you was coming in, I thought, you know what? I know he's going to turn up in a suit. I was gonna go get the fucking the Versace or Armani off the peg, mate. Because I tell you what, I scrub up all right, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
but I thought, do you know what? He's bringing that hairline with him. I can't
compete. So let's get to it.
Let's get to it, mate.
I mean, in terms of like debt and putting myself in that position, I think I look back on it and it was really just a result of a whole cumulative kind of snowball effect of poor decisions, also led by lack of kind of clarity of like my own vision. And this is probably the biggest thing. I think it was led by that. I didn't know where I was going. I had no clear path that I was on. So in terms of people being able to influence me or, influence my judgment, take me on their path, it was very easy. You know what I mean? Like someone would say, dude, like, let's go do this, or let's go, party this weekend, or, forget about doing that stuff, dude. Don't worry about it. Let's go do this. It was very easy to get in my head because I had nothing that was, guiding me, right?
You had no clear vision of where you wanted to end up.
Yeah, correct.
So when you have no clear vision, you can't, it's not like you can get there because you don't know where you're going, do you?
Well, correct. And the thing is that what that gives as well is what you're doing in your day to day has no meaning. And I'm just like, well, yeah, I mean, this isn't really that important. What's it for?
Yeah. So what's the actual purpose? And when you found that, you could obviously then channel it in the right direction.
Yeah.
But let's just step back because there's so much more to your story than just that. Obviously, you come from a small town in Australia called Toowoomba. Obviously, you obviously Soviet parents came over here. Your dad studied at uni here.
Yeah.
Got put out in the outback basically
That's right.
to study. But you growing up in Australia in a town full of 4,000 people, it's not like you're overly exposed to the business world. When did you ever think when you were young that, you know, I want to be a businessman, or I want to be someone who goes out and becomes this entrepreneur? Or was that were you ever exposed to that from family? Or
I don't think directly. No, I think the blessing in disguise that was you know, my dad being you know heavy kind of like Russian background, pretty strict and very rigid in his beliefs in terms of like where he came from culturally. Like Russians is like very strict, you know, Catholic or like Christian, very religious, very like do not do like it's black and white.
Yeah.
And so my dad came from that, and then, you know, despite that background, he actually went to India for, I think it was like 6 or 7 years, studied like you know, multitudes of different like Buddhist and Hare Krishna religions, practiced you know, a whole heap of different spiritual practices. And so I think growing up I saw like him, right, and I understood like the cultural aspect of him, and I was like, okay, cool. But at the same time, like, he doesn't conform to what was put in front of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like he chose to be like a monk, essentially, right? From a Russian heritage. I'm like, that's not normal.
It's not congruent with who you should be.
Right. And I think all kind of change starts at questioning pretty much everything. You know what I mean? Why am I doing this today? Why am I accepting this paycheck? Why am I just working here for the next 15 years to hopefully one day get that? Like, and I think my dad blessed me with that by seeing him live in a way that was like this overlap of two different like cultures and like belief systems. So it had me from a very young age extremely open-minded to possibility. And I was like, why does that happen like that? Like, I'm not sure. Like, why would those people do this and they do that? Why can't I do this? You know what I mean? So it had me really open to opportunities.
Just opens up the pathways in your mind to be able to put something else together that's not the norm.
Well, that's it. That's exactly. And then through that, obviously, like I said, for the first, you know, 18 years, 19 years of my life, I didn't really utilize or put any of that to work. It was more so just like this subconscious seeding that was put into place that had me extremely open to opportunities, hence me, you know, dabbling in drugs and being very open to say yes to things and being like, yeah, let's try, of course. But I think, you know, looking at it now and reflecting on it, I see that now as such a blessing, because I'm like, people are, you know, I guess conditioned to conform around a set routine series of beliefs that make up themselves as a human being, you know?
And when do you think the drugs thing started to take more of a toll on you?
Well, I think it was a multitude of things again. And here's the thing, like I never think there's one defining moment. It's like the frog in the boiling water. You know, everyone has their threshold of pain that you need to reach. But for me personally, it was, like I said, not having any idea of what I was moving towards. There was no purpose. There was no reason for me working. There was no reason for me like going to university. There was no reason for anything. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. Let's do drugs. It didn't matter. My life outside of that environment wasn't that great. So I was like, so in comparison to that's kind of ordinary. I mean, this is pretty fun when I'm doing it. Like, fuck it. You know what I mean? So like it was that. And then there was also a big part of it that was, I think during the time my parents divorced when I was like 13, a big part of me wanted to like prove to them that I could be something, right? I wanted to be like, look, you guys, quote unquote, failed, right, for whatever reasons, and it tore my family apart. And I saw my younger sister, my younger brother, my older brother, like really, really fall apart. And it was quite hard to see, but it really made me want to be like, I'm going to step forward. I'm going to show you guys how you can do it. And the dangerous part was that I didn't have really, really tight ideas around what I wanted to do with that kind of motivation. So naturally, friends presented me with ideas to make money in unsavory ways, and it kind of led to me just like living in this way that was so incongruent, so inconsistent with my beliefs of myself or like what a person, a man should be. But I found myself just living in this like incongruence where everything internally was telling me, you're a fucking piece of shit. Everything you're doing today is disgusting. Don't look at yourself in the mirror. I fucking hate you. Like that kind of level
that
of like
dark,
disgust and like darkness. Like it was hard. And then so I just began using drugs to just like numb that, escape that, get myself the fuck out of there. Again, because I didn't have anything in my real like external world that was worthwhile stopping.
And obviously the people that were introducing you to those drugs and obviously in your friend group at the time, are they people that you grew up with that have been lifelong friends of yours, or are they people that you've had to cut out of your life and distance yourself from like now in order to grow and change and do what you've done from here?
I would say in terms of people, I'm trying to think exactly. I might have possibly one or two people from that period in my younger life, even from like school growing up. I might have maybe two people that I still associate with and like am friends with. Like not most of my friends, but a number of my friends from like school, like they drive tractors, like they're farmers. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
Like that. On Facebook, they'll be uploading like, check it out. We're picking onions today. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Seriously, that is literally how much. That is where you were going.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever was going there, but like that's the environment that I was brought up in.
Yeah. Like proper rural. It's that's what the boys do out that way.
100%. Yeah.
What a change from that to where you're going is obviously that drugs point in your life and going through everything you went through with what was in front of you was obviously something that gave you the opportunity to make a clear, decisive decision that you were going to do something else. Mm-hmm. So people go, oh, I wish I hadn't have done that. It's like it's the wrong kind of way to look at things, isn't it? Because everything happens for a reason, and that took you on a totally different fork in the road.
Correct. Yeah.
So once you get out of that situation and move forward, what was like the first kind of business or job kind of thing that you went into to try and make this money that wasn't involving the drugs and everything like that?
So there was a few things. What happened was I kind of began to claw my way out somewhat out of that position, and I was working as like a site foreman on a construction job, and it was like okay, kind of making sense of things a little bit, almost like settling into like comfort again. With that debt that I had accumulated of like almost 140,000. And what happened was I kind of had to restructure some loans with the banks. And I just remember so clearly speaking to this lady on the line to Westpac, and she's like, perfect. So what we've done is we've stretched out the term on your loans, to 12 years. So you'll be, she didn't say this, but in my mind, I'm calculating it. And it's like 37 years old, before I've paid any of this off. Right. And I'm just like sitting there and I just feel my heart sinking. And I'm just like,
when's it going to end? Like,
I was like, I had these ideas obviously to be wealthy and to, build a great life for myself. And I was just like, you just fucked yourself. You just fucked yourself. And then, so what I immediately did, I was like, all right, cool. So I can't settle for this right now. Like there's no way that I'm going to be 37 before I ever, do anything effectively. I'm like trapped in this position.
You're in a job you don't like.
Job that I don't like. I'm gonna, probably somewhat build a family around that. Have huge stress on the family and the pressure on that whole environment, and it's going to be a complete mess, right? So I looked at a few opportunities that, and the one particular one was in particular working in this hail damage repair industry that I started doing initially, which is essentially repairing cars paintlessly. And what it was a $25,000 kind of like a license course type thing, training thing that you do to get like to develop the skill first, and as well as the business and the whole thing, so you can go and do it by yourself, right? And then this is in the position of like zero confidence in myself, zero belief.
And you still got this big debt.
I've lost for the last like 3 years straight, and here I am like, let's try something I've never done before, and hopefully that.
And let's go and put another 25 grand on the debt to go and do it.
Yeah, and so what I did is I remember borrowing some more money from two of my friends to do this, and I remember having the conversation with my now fiance, and I was like, I'm doing this thing, and she was like, I don't think you should do it. She's like, honestly, like at first she's like, I don't think you should do it. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking do it. I need to do it. Like, I'm like, this is the best thing I'm ever going to do. And it's the only hope that we have to build a future together. I'm like, there's nothing else I can see right now imminent. It's either me staying in this job, making $1,200 a week, and sucking dick, or it's, you know, I was just this is fucked. And then to all those guys who allow their wives or girlfriends to wear the pants in the relationship, you need to do some of
the most controversial point ever.
what I'm about to tell you right now. And so what happened was I was like fixated on the idea. I'm like, I need to do this. And I kind of just kept talking to her about it. And it was a lot of money, and she was like stressing out about the whole situation and really stressing and worrying about me as well. And I just remember we had a discussion, and I was like, I don't want to get 5 years down the line and be thinking and waiting and wishing and being like, I wonder what that would have been like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't bear to think of that. I need to do this. And she was like, all right, do it.
The one thing that I want to pull out of that for everyone is that nobody else in the world knows what's best for you other than yourself. And you've got to be willing to back yourself, because that's what you did right there. You backed yourself. You said, there's no point of return anyway.
Yeah.
I'm already 137 grand down the path. What is another 25?
That's right.
It's like,
exactly.
Because I'm talking on your loan term, that would have only been another 2 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not like it's a big deal.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
What are you, 39 now instead of 37? Oh, big deal. Do you know what I mean? But,
you're broke anyway.
Yeah, but you're fucking you're smoking the cock for fucking $1,200 a week.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's exactly.
It's literally what it is. Like there was no. To me, it seems so fucking logical.
Yeah.
It's like, but I get the fact that you've got, you know, the attractive girlfriend that you're trying to obviously to do right by, but she's now got an emotional connotation to money because you've brought that financial stress into the house.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. And then I think testament to her for then like backing me with it, you know, after I made that like absolute decision and I was like I am doing this. She was like 100% behind me, supportive. And I think what that allowed me to do, and this is what I was kind of, you know, alluding to before, like anyone listening that, you know, is in a relationship and struggles with this will definitely get some benefit. What I did is I proved to her why that was the best decision for me to make. Meaning like I didn't just like give it a crack. I hit the motherfucker for 6. You know, I made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the first like 12, 18 months. And
paid down your debt.
Paid everything back.
Yeah.
Everything. Like in a matter of 18 months, it was like done through, washed my hands of that thing, hit the last payment button on that Westpac loan thing. And I was like, fuck you. And I just remember like just that experience and that feeling. And then also like the pride from her as well, being like, you've got me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because as a female, what do they want? They want security. They want safety. If you're with some, you know, junkie who's got hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, how's my future look with you?
Yeah.
Not too fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, so
you're not selling her the dream, are you?
That's right. That's not much of a dream.
Bless her.
Bless her.
Big shout out. I don't know. What's her name?
Naira.
Yeah. If you're listening to this podcast, big shout out to you, girl.
Yeah,
but she was so attracted to you the day that you had the brass balls to say, I don't give a fuck what you think, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Without saying it like that, but like you have to back yourself.
100%.
You backed yourself.
100%.
And you know, that's just, how many years past the 18 months did you continue in this industry?
So I did it for just over, it was about 2 years and 2.5 years. It would have been just under 3 years total. I did that, yeah.
And and in that industry, what do you reckon you turned over in that 3.5 years?
It would have been just under 3 million, I think it was in total the whole time.
Yeah. Unbelievable, mate. Yeah. And when you've turned over 3 million in that industry, and obviously I think I'm right in believing that you obviously started on your own and you built a small team under you, and obviously you structured it out so that you could obviously have some time away from the business and not be totally involved with it all the time. But what, looking back, was the point when you looked at that business and thought, you know what, this business was good for me to get out of this debt and was good for me to get to where I am. But like, I really want more out of myself and I really want more out of life. What was the pivotal moment in that?
Well, it's just like I'm constantly like evaluating, and I'm sure. I mean, I would hope that most people do this. It's almost like future pace yourself, and when I say future pace, I mean essentially take what you're doing right now and just extrapolate what it looks like in 10 years. You know what I mean? It's like just close your eyes and like think about yourself in 10 years, and you're in the same role and you're doing the same thing, whatever it might be, business, career, whatever it is, and you just think about yourself. And this is really easy if you have people around you who are somewhat in the same position, right? But they're older. It's very easy. Like look at your co-workers, you look at people that you in your social circle, and you're like, okay, cool. So you've been doing this. Okay. Are they happy?
Yeah.
Right? Are they fulfilled? Are they making the kind of money that you want to make? If the answer is no, and genuinely, here's the thing as well. When it comes down to like answering that question, even like, is that where you want to be? Part of you will probably come from like the logical mind that will be backed by what your parents want you to do, what society tells you is right and wrong. Yep. But you'll know, is this right or wrong?
You will know that is this right or wrong, because I've experienced it like you have. But you also will have a feeling of like the sunk cost fallacy, where you've invested so much time into pursuing this career, this uni degree, this whatever you're pursuing. You spent so much time pursuing it, and you've sunk so much time and energy into it that you now think you have to stay in it because of what you've put in it.
Exactly.
And sometimes that obviously that's a hard decision to make for a lot of people, because it's very like in your face. Yeah. Very in your face.
Well, that's what keeps the gambler sitting there at the pokey machine trying to sink out, or like trying to recoup the losses. You know what I mean? It's that same idea of like, this next spin will get it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, motherfucker, cut your losses and get the fuck out of there.
Well, look at Warren Buffett, right? He was a big investor in airline stocks. Airline stocks tanked, coronavirus hits, airline stocks tanked. He could have sat there and thought, I've sunk a lot of money in here. I'll wait till it bounces back, then I'll sell them. But he's like, nah, I don't believe in the industry for the next 10 years. Yeah. So I'm going to cut it, take my losses and put it all into something else that I believe in. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And he is not emotional about it at all.
That's right.
He just literally does it. And I think that's what a lot of people have got to take the emotion away from it. That, there's too much emotion wrapped within these decisions that they believe are massive. But really, when you look down at it, when you look back on the decisions that you've made in your life, they seemed really massive at the time, and they obviously have made a massive change. But they were such a simple fucking decision when you think about it. Yeah.
100%. And that's, I mean, it's like anything, like hindsight, right? You look back on anything, you're like, wow, that was retarded. That was so dumb of me. And I think it's just like emotions in the moment are the one thing that will, kill a deal, right? Or, stop you from doing the right thing, or have you do the wrong thing completely. Like 100%, that emotional kind of, part of your brain, your reptile brain that just goes, just get out of there, or just keep going, keep pushing. That fear, like, those kind of like low emotions. Yeah, 100%. That's what kind of drives a lot of poor decisions. I feel yeah.
But just because I want people to really understand this mindset of yours, walk me through the mechanics of and how you broke down. You're looking at this $3 million business, and you, like most people would be like, oh, you should be happy with a $3 million a year business. And you know what I mean? Like, you should be happy with that. Like, that's really good. Congratulations. But like, you've obviously looked and sat down there, looked at your numbers. You're looking at your profit and loss. You're thinking, right, just extrapolate for me how that looked, and then what you pivoted into from that.
But I think it's like anything. Like if you, say for example, right now you're making 100,000 a year, and you want to get to $1 million a year, and you think that once you reach that point of making $1 million a year, there'll be this fundamental shift in how you think about yourself, how you see your business. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's this like perception of this anticipation of, once I arrive, then I will feel. It's like this if this then kind of mentality, right? And I said this to some of my clients and sales guys. I was like, when I was making like $1,200 a week, the feeling feels exactly the same. Like, I make a lot more than $1,200 a week now, but it doesn't feel any different. it just feels a lot more stressful because there's a lot more people who are relying on income. You know what I mean? There's a lot more responsibility and obligation, but there's no fundamental like, here we are. So it's like
you don't feel like you've arrived.
No, and that's the thing is like whether it's 3 million or whether it's 30 million, I know now, and I have experienced over like different like I guess thresholds of like income. The feeling never changes. You know what I mean? So to anchor your own like dopamine or your own sense of achievement or fulfillment around like incremental increases in income alone, I've realized is flawed. You know, so like even in the sense of like this $3 million business or making that much money, I saw that and I looked at it as like, number one, how long did it take me to do it? A couple of years. Okay, cool. What's my ceiling in this industry? Well, probably 10 million. How long is it going to take me to get there? Probably another 10 plus years, right?
Really, yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, doable. I definitely could do it. I've done it. Is there another industry that's probably more worthwhile of my kind of like attention and potential that has a lot higher of a ceiling, shorter amount of time frame that I can spend the same level of like dedicated energy into, but it's going to yield higher returns and longer returns over the long term as well. More potential for growth. It's like energy in versus return. How much can I get a return on that amount of energy? Right now I'm dumping this much energy into this, meaning like time, attention, resources, money, like everything on this thing. What's the return? Okay, great. I'm getting that now. But if I was to do that for the next 10 years, what does it look like? Well, impressive, kind of, right? Where are some people that I'm aspiring to be like? What are the spaces that they're in? Well, internet. I need to be on the internet. I need to be there. Massive environment. I can touch so many people. I can be worldwide, international. I can be, completely independent of like time, 24 hours a day. I'm not worried. Right. I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's where I need to be.
That's the leverage. That's the leverage play, the leverage you didn't have in your business.
That's it. Exactly. And I was like that's the thing. So as I was like in the hail repair industry, I started like my coaching business initially, training and coaching around like mindset, health, the things that really helped me transition and get out of like the debt and stuff, and get myself into, a position of like peak performance, being able to operate at an extremely high level for long periods of time. Because that was my, I guess, kryptonite in a way. All the time that I had lost by being in the debt and the drugs pretty much was just like, I was like, I've got to make back this time.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sitting there like running the numbers and I'm like, cool. So 168 hours in a week. Awesome. Okay. Typical person works 45 hours a week. All right. If I double that and I work for 13 hours, 14 hours every single day, that's like 100 hours a week. Nice. I'm more than doubling the average person in terms of input into where they want to get towards. Yeah. I want to get that in the shortest fucking time possible. How can I do that? I need to collapse time, right? I've got the same amount of time in the week. I'm going to just double the input towards that goal and it's going to happen. And not only that, but it's even more exponential because as I do, say for example, average person works 45, I do 98 or I do 100, right? Not only am I doing double plus a little bit the amount of time spent on the task as they are, but I'm also learning double plus some the amount of like, knowledge. Right. So
you're probably learning way more than double, to be honest, because like most people that spend 40 hours at work, they're doing the same repetitive tasks day in, day out.
Correct.
Their learning stops after like maybe a couple of months in the job. They've mastered it, haven't they?
That's it.
There's no growth.
Yeah.
You're learning new stuff and challenging yourself.
That's
like,
it.
Beyond recognition.
That's it. And then you're not only like I said, doubling the input, but you're also every single, like say for example, breaking it in a metrical week, 98 hours I work, fantastic. Not only have I like accomplished that amount of time, made that much money, the next week I'm looking at the next week with a higher level of knowledge, IQ and processing power to be like, cool, it's not linear. You know what I mean? It goes like fucking that, right? Because it's like that much input, that much new knowledge, that much new insight, that much energy, that much attention, like you fucking win.
Yeah, you got to win.
You've got there's no option, and that's it.
And you're doing it for yourself. Doing things when you start doing things for yourself, and you start aligning it with actually where you actually truly want to go inside X amount of time.
Yeah,
you can really start to move the needle in your life.
100%.
You just got to you just got to be honest with yourself. What do you actually want to fucking do?
That's it. Yeah.
And when you have that honest conversation, it's like you had that honest conversation when you turned over 3 mil. You're like, fuck, this isn't what I want to do. My ladder's been leant against the wrong wall. It got me where I want to go to, but now I've got to pivot.
Exactly.
So you pivoted into peak performance. Was that the next thing you pivoted into?
Yeah.
So was that like just a coaching business?
Correct. Yeah.
And how did you, so obviously you've built this coaching business, like what, obviously high ticket stuff.
Yeah. So mainly like high ticket kind of like coaching programs based around the type of, practices, rituals, routines, things that I was implementing, because like, anyone, for example, if you're, working 45 hours a week and eating like, takeaway food 4 or 5 times a week, having a pretty shitty like routine, you're not going to be able to operate at like a real peak level.
Yeah.
So I started like increasing the amount of time spent working, and I was like, all right, great. I need to really, really be tight and very strict with like what I'm putting into my environment, food, sleep, nutrients, like everything was so tight, like just machined to perfection. And I just like had this dynamite routine down that I still operate most of it today, that allowed me to do that and operate like that for years.
Because you're like me in a lot of ways, from what I've seen, that you eat the same thing, you train at the same time. Mate, I don't know about you, but I set all my clothes out so that I don't have to make that many decisions in the morning to take the decisions away. Like everything's laid out, the meals are prepared. Like I just have to take away all that thought process of so I can concentrate on bigger shit.
That's exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What just to break it down for people, because obviously that's something you coached in. If you were going to give like 5 or 6 pieces of things that people need to get structured and get right in their life today, what are those 5 or 6 things that you'd tell them to do?
Cool. I would say wake up at the same time every day, regardless of weekday or weekend. Number 1, I'd say meditate every single day, at least half an hour. Number 2, I would say once you complete your meditation, read, recite, or write down, even better, your vision, your goals of where you want to get towards, right? Repeat that again at nighttime in terms of your goals.
Yep.
Whether and the beauty of this is this, on that point, you wake up in the morning, your morning time is the weakest time of your day. Why? Because during the day, this is why, generally speaking, like confidence is higher towards the end of the day. You've accomplished things, you've done things, you've got evidence in your environment of like, yes, I closed that deal. Yes, I spoke to that girl. Yes, I did this thing. I feel good. I feel accomplished, right? However, in the morning time, it's like a fresh start. You've got no evidence. You've got no new stimulus in your environment. You're open and receptive to new ideas, new concepts, right? So immediately upon, completing your meditation, straight into your goals, remind yourself of where you're going today and where all that energy is focused towards, right? And then you wrap that up in the same way on the back end with a reflection of the same material, same goals, same vision, where you're going. What it does is any shit that happened during that day, which most of the time it does, it's like, it's worth it. Remember where you're going.
Yeah.
Everything that happened today was for a reason. Okay. Human beings are like conditioned over years by family and stuff like that to think a particular way. And then people like do something for 3 months and they're like, I didn't get a result. It's like, dude, try doing it for 3 fucking years. And tell me your life doesn't change. So I would say, wake up at the same time, meditate every single day, goals every single day. And then I would say follow a particular diet. I'm not going to go and advise any particular nutritional style for yourself.
Just find out what works for you and run with it.
Find out what works. In my opinion, personally, and how I kind of operate, it's little to no carbohydrates, high kind of fats, all organic, grass-fed, kind of like, wild caught type food with high consciousness of like where it came from. And then a really pretty strict supplement and nutritional kind of support regimen as well. That down for me personally, you just need to have that in place, 100%. And then I would just say, just do the fucking work
and sleep.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, and here's the thing as well. I feel like the reason people struggle sleeping is like
because they're not eating right and because they're not training right.
They're not eating right. They're not training right. But at the same time, it's like the time they spend doing the thing during the day is not productive time.
Yeah.
Right. I can sit in front of my laptop for 3 hours. And do fuck all,
right? Yeah. How on time was that?
Honestly, you can do that as opposed to like dedicating particular windows, blocking it out, getting it done. Like, man, you can be ultra productive.
I've got a daily planning system. And it's like, here's the 3 must achieve tasks a day, the big needle movers. I have, here's the 3 good habits to practice today. Here's the 3 bad habits I want to get rid of today or reduce. I time block out from 5 a.m. right the way through to 7 p.m. at night.
Perfect.
Right. My phone automatically goes on to, zero mode at 6 p.m.
Perfect.
to cut me out that stuff. I got this other app that locks me out of social apps at certain times of the day because you can lose yourself in Instagram or something like that. Yep. I think I read Cal Newport's book, Deep Work. Have you read that?
Brilliant book. Yeah.
Brilliant book.
Yeah.
It's like emails, right? It's for work usually.
Yeah.
It's like, do you need them on your phone? Maybe don't have them on your phone.
Yeah.
Maybe don't have the Instagram app on your phone. Maybe there's lots of things I'm still working through trying to get some of these gone, 100%. But I just fully resonate with there's a few things that I think you've mentioned that I'm going to put back in because I'm going to try and get up to meditating for half an hour a day, but I've really struggled to meditate more than 10 minutes. My fucking mind's, because I got ADHD, right? That my mind's like, wee, fuck it.
that's the point that you need to meditate past. Like 10 minutes and beyond, that's where you actually start meditating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. I'm like, this isn't working.
Like, it's not working, dude. This ain't it.
But can I just say something in that regard though? Like there was, I can't remember who's this is it, James Clear, Atomic Habits. I don't know if you read that book, but James Clear was saying, in order to form a habit, like a good habit, it's better to make a lower agreement with yourself. So rather than saying, I'm going to write a book, maybe just start by saying, I'm going to write a paragraph per day, and then increasing it to, I'm going to write a page, and then increasing it to, like, I'm going to write 2 pages. I'm going to write X. Do you know what I mean? Because then you can show yourself. You can show yourself that you can do it.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, what, you can't set the target as running a marathon. Maybe just start by running 5 minutes, then running 10, then running. Do you know what I mean? It's like you give yourself something to be able to achieve rather
100%.
than
Creates that like positive kind of like confirmation bias of like, you know, because human beings all operate with that confirmation bias, meaning like, I want to operate and create a life around me or an environment around me that is like confirming the beliefs that I have.
Yes.
You know, like if you believe a certain thing, you want to see, like a perfect example, I was like sitting on the couch maybe a month ago with Youre, and we were like going back and forth and having a bit of a discussion about some topic. I can't remember exactly what it was.
All I know is she was right.
but I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, like let me go and Google it, right? And here's my like confirmation bias at work. I like Google X, Y, and Z subject, whatever it is, and I'm scrolling through like a few different articles that are saying contrary information to what I believe, and I'm like, no, it's not that. It's not that. It's not that. It's a perfect example. You know what I mean? I only want to see things that like confirm my belief. Yeah. And this is like human beings. Like all human beings have that. It's just like confirm. And that's why like old people, particularly as you get older, things get more and more rigid.
Narrow.
You know what I mean? It's like they only see what they want to see. It's a small kind of like speck.
Your circle gets smaller and smaller because obviously people are dying off and you're losing contact with people. So you become narrower. So like even on that point, what I do now is like I'll have mates that are like 18, 20, and sometimes, and obviously when I was in the boxing community, obviously there'd be lads in there that come in like 8 to 12 years old. I'd be friends with them just like I'd be friends with a 96-year-old that's been in there since the war. You know what I'm saying? Because it's good to have all these different age groups and opinions and perspectives to you don't have to take them all on, but at least you at least want to understand what other people think and how they see things. It gives you a real good worldview, 100%, especially 100%, travel too. But obviously after this coaching business, you obviously, what was the key thing that obviously you pivoted out of that too? Like, well,
that's still kind of is something that I do, and I work with pretty much just like I have some programs that run more so like on an automated basis. I do some sessions in there with some clients on a month, like a once a month kind of thing. For like a web class type thing once a month, and then I do just have like a few clients that I work with on more of a one-on-one basis that, you know, generally speaking, I mean, not generally speaking, they are doing like above, you know, 7 figures. That's kind of a bit of a criteria. It's just like, I find that the strategy, the information, where I am based on where they are is also like really fitting, and the conversation, it's really relative. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's a conversation you're putting yourself with clients around the conversation that you actually want to be having.
correct.
Whereas if they're 6 figures or 5 figures, that's a different proposition altogether.
Absolutely.
And that's lowering your compass of competence around what you're talking about. You don't want to be talking about those problems anymore because you've dealt with them.
That's it. It's like how do I consistently wake up at the same time every day?
Yeah, like you just now.
Please.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like now you've just lowered my
intellectual capacity kind of thing, and it's just like
you dumbed it down.
Yeah, in a sense, and it's just like fun and exciting, and in terms of like benefit wise, I feel that I can exercise and give the most benefit to people. My skill set and my knowledge now can be delivered in a way that sees the biggest result with people in that kind of particular like income frame. You know what I mean? Making around that 1 to 1.5 mark, I can deliver a result that blows them away.
Yeah.
In comparison to someone who's like starting out and they're like, what do I do? You
can pull certain small levers in someone that's earning that kind of revenue, like in their business, and you can double revenue at that level when you pull certain small things out, which is what you do.
Yeah.
The one thing I was going to ask you about that is obviously you left that business, obviously the dent removal, and went into coaching. Do you think people, like for someone who wants to get online, never had an online business, but maybe has some expertise in something, do you suggest the first thing that they package is their expertise into something like an online type program to kind of, is that their route to getting out of working and to getting out of that job, in your opinion?
I would say so. I think it's very easy to go and take a skill set or take a level of expertise and translate it into a series of, some form of like online programs, videos, something that people can work through. It's extremely easy, and I think you can build, something to the point of 6 figures really, really quite easily. From that point onwards, and scaling it starts to get a little bit more difficult because you're dealing with time and your own time. But if you're looking to take a level of expertise that you have and translate it online, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because that's obviously one thing that I noticed with you doing is you kind of you took the same revenue you were generating over here and you kind of replicated that online with first with the coaching model.
Yep.
Was this the point when you were within the coaching model? Was this the point you kind of aligned yourself with Jordan Belfort and that kind of scene? Because obviously you work closely with him now, and obviously he's a coach of yours and everything like that, and you partner with him on certain things. Is that the timescale that you met him and obviously got introduced?
Yeah. So what it was is, how did that happen exactly? So I remember it was the start of 2019, and I was doing a fair bit of like sales training, like reading some sales books, listening to some sales material. I was kind of aware that I wanted to increase my sales kind of skills, and I was like, and I had a client at the time, and he was speaking about Jordan's like online training platform, and he's like, it's really good. And obviously I knew the guy from the movie, never had really done any of his material, never done any of his work. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And then I picked up his book, The Way of the Wolf. I read it and I was just like, holy shit. Like it was like show stopping, like stopped me in my tracks. And I'm like, this is so tangible. You know what I mean? I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how this fits into what I have been doing. I know the labels, so to speak, of the behaviors or like, language patterns that I've been using. I know how to improve them now. Like it was like insane. I read it like 7 times more. And I was like, this is the best thing I've read in terms of sales. And then from there, jumped into one of his online programs, and it was like, I'm not sure, $100 a year or something. Jumped into that and started like consuming some of his content in there. And I was like, this is really good stuff as well. And then pretty much just through like an email sequence they send out, there was an invitation to one of his masterminds for, one-on-one kind of training and coaching with a group of 9 other kind of entrepreneurs. And I was like, yeah, dope, sign me up. Let's do it. And I remember speaking to this is where I mentioned earlier, speaking to my fiance again, right? And it's like a 50K weekend by the time you factor in,
And
flights.
that's 50K US, isn't it?
No, this was Australian. It was about 55. 55. It was 25,000 for the mastermind for 2 days, and then travel, which is, I don't know, 38,000 plus travel, flights, accommodation, and all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
Hiring some nice cars, and so about 50,000. I remember like having a conversation with my fiance at the time, and what I was saying earlier as well around proving to your significant other why they should believe in you, right? That time plus a number of other decisions that I made that proved to be the best decisions that we as a couple made, right, came to be, and we're sitting there having a discussion about, this new project and me going to this weekend that's going to cost, essentially a house deposit, right? And she's like, this is fucking huge, right? And
because I'll tell you how exactly she was looking at it. That's my wedding day.
Yeah.
That's how she was looking at it. 100% she was looking at it like that.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, he's just.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's exactly what she's saying. Yeah. I don't know if you ever looked at it like that, but that's how I'm looking at it. I'm just thinking.
It's like wedding, mastermind over 2 days.
Yeah. Or my wedding over one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely. But so, she adopted a similar kind of mindset and was like, you know what, like, do it. I want you to do it. This is something really important to you. Like, do it. Right. So, jumped on board into that, went to the event there and, hit it off really well with JB, as well as like all the other guys there that were, top performing kind of entrepreneurs in their space, some making 10 million, 50 million, 100 million kind of a year in revenue. Yeah. So like good heavy hitters. And I remember, and this is probably the thing that I recommend to a lot of entrepreneurs as well, is like the time or like the environment or the sphere of influence that you're in, where you're around people where you feel like uncomfortable to the point where you want to just get out and run away.
Yeah.
Like you got to spend time there.
Yeah.
And
that's where the growth is.
Oh yeah. And it's hard. Like I remember being around those guys and I was like,
you feel inadequate.
I was like, oh my God, and I feel so small. Like this is fucked. And just like intentionally positioning yourself in those kinds of environments where you're well and truly out of reach and you're fucking like swimming without a paddle and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm so insignificant right now, because it just forces every fiber of you to just level up and you're just like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to be there. I need to be there. Like you need to accommodate to this new environment. So your body just goes into like, how can we level up? How can I speak, play, be in that kind of a particular status that I can be up there with those boys? Yeah. So that's
once you feel like you are meant to be in that room, you're in the wrong room.
100%. It's perpetual.
Yeah. You got to go to a new room now.
That's the ironic part of it, is like that's why, having particular fixed friends isn't something that I think is necessarily advisable. Maybe people you hang out with on a friend basis, but in terms of like, business specific associates you hang out with, they've always got to be evolving in the same way that you are. You have to be, if you're hanging out with the same people as you were 15 years ago. Grant Cardone says this all the time. It's like,
what the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing, buddy? No wonder you're broke. It's
like, because there's no growth there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like me changing countries.
Yeah.
It's like,
perfect example.
I didn't have, it's same. Your dad did the same thing. Yeah. He's like, there's no opportunity there. I haven't got the opportunity. I'm bringing my son into the world. I need an opportunity. I need him to have an opportunity. Yeah. I'm going to go to an abundant place.
That's the reason that immigrants come here and absolutely kill it.
Yeah.
Because they see it with like, hang on a second, you guys are just sitting around on the sideline while all this is out here.
$6,000 and a bag of clothes, mate. That's what I turned up here with. A pair of boxing boots, a pair of boxing gloves. That's it. $6,000. Right. By the Christmas of that year, I mean, or by September, I had like 50, 60K in the bank. Right? So I got here in July. I had 50, 60K in the bank. Never seen that kind of money in my entire life. Here's where I went wrong. Fucking, my sister's getting married. I think, fuck it. I'm rich. I've never seen this money before. I fly back. I fucking do all this shit. Yeah, fucking spend 3 weeks in England. Come back. I was a tradie at the time, carpenter and joiner.
Right.
Fitted out shops. No shop fitting in December. I fucking ended up spending all my money. I was broke again. I was broke. January, watching all these families walking around the beach on New Year's. You know what it's like in Australia? Yep. Everyone's off for a month, don't they? Mate, unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? I was living off a bag of apples and a loaf of bread, bro. No fucking word of a lie. It was horrendous. I cried my eyes out, man. I couldn't believe it. I'd left penthouse apartment and sports car in England that I'd worked hard all my life, because that's kind of like the life I aspired to. And then come here, started with nothing, thought, fucking hit it, killed it, boom, shut the front door. It's like, that's it.
It's humbling, isn't it?
And it's very like, you kind of have to have that though. You kind of have to have that. But you're right in what you're saying. There are so many people that live in this beautiful country that have been born here that do not realize how fucking good it is and what opportunities they have. Yeah. And I do not understand how anybody in their right mind can turn up for 50k a year and swap their time, their young years, their 18, 19, 20-year-old years for that much money and be fixed on it. Yeah. I just don't understand it.
I understand. Because, I mean, like, the thing that I think I realize, and you probably have as well, is, like, it's not just about, like, I don't know, like money in itself. Like, I think, and I see this with some of the guys on my sales team, like, they go from making, like, $700 a week to, like, I don't know, 7,000 or 8,000 a week, and sure, they're making more money, so, like, their ability to maybe buy nicer clothes or do nicer things is obviously increased as well. But like the level of confidence, the level of self-belief, the level of like empowerment that it brings to a person in terms of like opportunity, you know what I mean? It's like, I can do more. Like I'm going to go.
I've got more options now.
I'm going to go send my dad some money. I'm going to go give my family, the ability to go away on a whole. Well, whatever you're going to do, you can do those things. And I feel like it's empowering in that sense. But I think the funny thing is, I believe that especially as a young, hungry, kid, for example, you can't go and focus on those things. You can't be like, I want to give holidays for my family. You know what I mean? Like it's about the car.
Yeah.
It's fucking about the car and the house, dude. And you're like, I want that to impress the chicks.
Yeah.
And then you get it and you're like, it ain't about the chicks. It's about freedom.
When you do get the nice car and the nice house at certain levels, as you're accentuating through this thing, you have it. And after you've driven it for a while, you're like, was this really the right kind of the thing to chase? There's do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you got the nice car and that, but like, yes, you could go and buy a nicer car tomorrow. You could go Lambo or Ferrari or whatever you want to do. You can go there, but I don't think that you potentially will, because I think you've got enough knowledge now to know I reckon you'd rather put the cash back in your business and go and earn another X amount of money,
8x on my money.
Yeah,
exactly.
Then put it into
It's interesting that because with like even the car that I drive at the moment, I remember it was about 2.5 years ago when they first released like that model, like that GLC 63, and I was like, man, that's
me.
I'm getting that. And I got a screenshot on my phone from like whenever it was 2.5 years ago. I sent it to Naira and I was like sitting there showing her, pulled it up on the computer, had it there. I'm like looking at it. I'm like, I'm going to get this. And she's like, okay, yeah, sure. And I drove like a Holden SV6 Ute for years and years and years and years, well past the due date of what I should or could have. But I actually found a lot of pride and like pleasure in doing that, more so from the fact of just being like, you know what, I could buy that, but I don't need to right now. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like it was necessary at the time, and I felt that, I'm not sure, like probably be interesting opinions, but I kind of just reached the point where I was like, me, my identity, my environment, what I was doing with my life was almost like well past the identity of the Holden Ute guy. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right.
Now's the time.
Now's the time to upgrade. Yeah, that's right.
When I was a carpenter, I had a Ford Falcon Ute.
Oh, yeah.
Right? As carpenter shop fitter, yeah. I kept that Ute throughout the first 3 years of content removal. Not because I couldn't afford to change it, but because I wanted to remind myself, and And if you look over to this balcony right now, you'll see 2 toolboxes, right?
Yeah, so yeah.
Do you know the reason? Do you know the reason they're there?
Reminder.
They're there to remind me never to go back to trade work.
Yeah.
People are like, why don't you sell the toolboxes on your balcony? I'm like, because I never want to fucking go back there. So I remind myself every day when I look out the window, if I want to look at that view, I can't go there.
That's good.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's very powerful to me. And that's why I kept that Youre so long. And then I'm like, and the same thing happened one day. One of my mates in business who's a lot more successful than me, he said, look, Frankie, he's like, it's time, mate. Like you're not going back there now.
Yeah.
You can get, you know, something. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, literally, mate, I ring my mate who's got like his like weekend car. I'd sit, my mate had this Audi, right? Yeah. Black Audi, red leather interior. I'd always loved it. Yeah. It was just his weekend car. Yeah. He sat in his garage. It was pristine. And I'd always wanted it every time I see him come to the gym and on like one day a week. I thought, oh, fuck, I love that car.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, just love that car. And I ringed him up. I'm like, mate, I'm going to buy you a car. And I had to take him to dinner to get him to sell me the car. That's how I got my first nice car in Australia, mate.
That's so good.
And that's what it is. But that is 100%. People come around all the time and say, Frankie, why am I looking at them boxes? And I'm like, mate. That is why.
What's that goddamn ugly shit doing on my balcony?
Yeah. Mate, and
it's good though. It's an anchor,
do you know what though? I reckon after this podcast, I'm now ready to sell them.
Yeah.
Because I've just kind of realised maybe we can move on from that now. But that is legit why they're there.
But there is though. That's what I was thinking as well. It's the same like how I was sharing that story. Is like. It's like almost it's like you raise your, I'm not sure, vibration, your frequency, like your identity shifts to the point where there's no longer, I think like in that transition period, there's definitely time where you're like, all right, I need strong, rigid reminders or like anchors as to why not to go back there. 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's either burn the ships and throw those things off the fucking balcony there.
Yeah.
Or it's like keep them there as the big like fuck you of what not to do.
Yeah.
You know, but once you reach a certain point, you're just like,
you can kind of,
this is me now, you know?
Yeah. And then you've set new anchors, you've set new ways, and now you're going on to a different destination.
Exactly. Yeah.
But honestly, just even looking at it makes me like, I'm not going there, man. Do you know how fucking annoying it is taking those things on and off the back of me?
Oh, damn.
Like, mate,
I can imagine.
Mate, you know, because you've worked in
I was in it.
Yeah. I hated
100%, dude. 100%. Yeah.
So once you'd got out of this mastermind with Jordan and that, you obviously came back to Australia, and was this another point where you thought, you know what, this peak business is great, but now in order to get to this new echelon of where we're going, what was it you put in place to make that happen?
So what it was is, so we did at the mastermind, we kind of like had the idea with Jordan to do the events, which I did with him, which was February 19 and February 20, 2020. So almost like this time last year. Yeah. And so we organized that, and that obviously was, you know, huge in terms of like credibility, brand recognition, being seen and known in the market, you know. Yeah. So that was a big thing that kind of did a lot of great things for my brand and myself there, despite, you know, the financial kind of aspect of it. It was an awesome event and knocked it out of the park from like an experience type thing. And then off the back of that, during that time, what I was doing is my partner and I were building and kind of like selling e-commerce businesses over the phone, like done for you kind of businesses over the phone. And we were doing that, just the two of us, and I was kind of waking up at like, you know, 2-3 in the morning, and I would like do a couple of sales calls before I'd jump into my day, and it was really good, and it was like great fun. I was working really well. And then so we did the event, and I'd always wanted to build like a team or build something great around a particular offer that was really relevant and timely in the market. And so I did the event. That all kind of transpired, and had a boot camp that I was actually supposed to hold after the event that got shut down because of the whole COVID thing. Yeah. And this was about probably March last year, April, around about that time last year. And then my partner and I, we started like focusing a lot more on like, you know, this done for you Ecom. And it was like looking into the market, you're like, it's I don't know what it is, 4 trillion moving up to like $7 trillion market. absolutely massive.
So much scope in it.
Just huge, like astronomical kind of size and scale. And I remember like looking into it and just being like, wow, like this is freaking huge. You know, the demand, COVID, what does it do? It just amplifies the demand. People like it was just so ripe. You know what I mean? Like the coaching game is awesome, and it's a very much like an altruistic thing that I love doing to benefit people. And
it's a good cash flow business to get the cash to be able to do what you're talking about.
It is, and it's I just and I find myself and time again I'll wind up at like 6:30, 6:40 p.m. on like a Tuesday or a Thursday night. Before I'm about to jump into our sales training evenings, and I'll be jacked up from like a 12-hour day, and I'm like, you know what, man, the last thing I want to do is jump in and do this training right now. You know what I mean? And I'll get in there and I'll deliver like an insane session for my team, and I'll walk out all like finished, and I'll just be like,
fuck, that was
I feel so fucking awesome, mate. This is the best thing in the fucking world. You know what I mean? Like seeing like
there's nothing like touching and helping other people though.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like actually where you actually like touch their life, like in terms of like you watch that light switch flick in their head when something you tell them resonates so deeply within them. It's like, fuck, why have I never seen that?
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? That is powerful shit. That's why we do this podcast.
That's right. Yeah.
It's
exactly
break patterns, flip perspectives. That's exactly why I do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Because there's so many things in this podcast that you've said that when they hit the right person's ears at the right person, it doesn't matter whether they listen to it now or in 10 years because this thing lives on. But when it hits your ears at the right time, it opens up new pathways that you didn't even know could even exist in your mind. And if you can't be inspired by that, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah. Like, as simple as that. It's so powerful, bro. Like, I'm so fucking, I'm so
passionate about it.
Yeah. It's true, man. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Because I feel that every time I sit down and do these conversations.
It's brilliant. Yeah. And then you get messages, feedback, people being like, dude, what you said, how this happened, help me do this. I did this. And it's like, boom.
Yeah. You know? Mate. And that's like, we've both done, obviously you've done bigger deals than me in the 7-figure range, but I've done like big 6-figure deals, right? Yeah. And I'm telling you now, when a woman who didn't have the confidence to even believe in herself reaches out to you on Instagram from some place you didn't even realize, and then says to you that, you know, this and this and this and this has changed, and now she's gone deep into your content, and then she's like, this has changed in my life, and I put this into practice, and I'm doing this, and now I'm doing this and this. I'm like, that feeling is worth more than the money to me.
100%. But it's also like the money's an important part of it as well.
100% the money's important.
You know what I mean? It's like I feel that if you deliver a service of that kind of quality, I was pondering this the other day. I was going to do a story on my Instagram about it, of like the importance of exchanging or selling.
Yeah, 100%.
The importance of actually like taking or exchanging your value, your service, whatever it is you deliver, for money.
Well,
you know,
me and you before this podcast on a different topic, we're talking about positioning the value from the right start. You know, knowing how to not only position your value, but then the importance of, like you say, charging for your value. Because if you don't, then there's the person who's taking that value from you does not respect it, will not use it, will not execute it, and you cannot move forward like in a business relationship because they don't value what you do compared to what you value it.
Exactly. I think it's just like something that once you charge or reach a particular kind of like self-worth that reflects one of my good friends, Ryan Tuckwood, he has a sales training kind of company here on the Gold Coast as well. Absolute legend, like brilliant guy. And he kind of puts it into this kind of context when it comes to sales training. He's like, so what I do or how I kind of operate is like, say for example, a company wants to, have me train their team, right? And he goes, all right, cool. So what's the minimum amount of time that I can help a company or a sales team see a result in?
Yeah.
Can I see a result? Like as in, can I change their team in 1 hour? Fuck no. Right? That's just being irresponsible. So I charge whatever it is, however many $1,000 an hour, with a minimum requirement of 10 or however many hours. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're doing them a disservice by saying, "Can I just do 1 hour?" Like, what do you want? Like, you can jack them
There's
up
no
and get them
point.
excited, but
There's
it's
no
like,
point.
what are we doing here?
Yeah,
you know. So I think the exchange of like currency is so key, because it just helps you realize that, like, number one, interest, number two, attention, value of yourself and the what you deliver, and then it puts it in proportion to the result you're trying to get. You know what I mean? It's like if you charge $10,000 for the same piece of information, as the other person charges $20. Like, what's going to be like better looked at or more looked at? Every time I go and like search something online, I'm like, most expensive first. That's just how I like organize search. So I'm like, well, that's probably the best. I don't really know the field too well.
That's because you've changed your how you view money and your values to money. A lot of people have a negative connotation to money. They're pained by it. Like, in terms of like they didn't perhaps have money growing up, so now they've got this, money's the evil. Like, and it's kind of like money will accentuate the positive or negatives within yourself as a person. Like, money's just a tool to be used, right? Well, if you're a bad person, you'll use it for bad shit, and if you're a good person, you'll do good shit with it.
That's exactly right.
Look at what you're doing with your money. You generate a vast amount of revenue, and what do you do with it? You pay salespeople handsomely to go and make more revenue. So you're giving 30 to 60 people around the world the opportunities that they never had. To go and do more.
While training and you know, mentoring like 100 plus other people and working, you know what I mean? It's like,
exactly, because that's the value proposition that people don't see, but people will begrudge the people that have the money though. Like they're the bad guys, but but invariably it's not. It's from what I've seen and from the business people that I've talked to and from the entrepreneurs that I've met in life. It's not a true reflection. There's a lot of people who've got a lot of misguided connotations just predicated on their childhood.
100%. Yeah, and it's also like the people who haven't figured out their money problem. It's always those people who are, you know, having issues with the people that have figured out their problem with money. You know what I mean? You'll never. I find that, you know, a lot of my friends who are, you know, 7 figures and above will only have positive, you know, affirmation and great things to say about things that I'm doing. You know, I'll never hear feedback from someone who is on the same or similar or above the level that I am. That's like putting me down. Never.
The only people that leave negative comments, reviews, and all this stuff are people that have thrown the last bit of money at the hope train. Do you know what I mean? They've thrown that last bit of money at the hope train. They expected the world for the smallest amount of money, and now that, but they didn't back it up with work ethic, may I add. So now there's that gap, you know, and who's the easiest to resent in that moment? Anyone else who's doing something above and beyond.
Exactly.
And beating it, because you have to beat at a different frequency to keep raising your game. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. It's about just constantly, because that's the thing as well, is like once you get to a certain level, it's also easy to be complacent and stay there as well. Yeah,
it's happened to me numerous times. It's like, it's kind of something I'm trying to kick on with now, like, and push myself through. It's kind of, I've hit a ceiling. I'm like, fuck, Frankie boy, you got to wake up, man. Yeah, wake up. Like, you gotta. Now's the time. Yeah, now's the time to move on.
I think what I was saying earlier about, you know, going to Jordan's place there and doing the mastermind, like that kind of every time. Let's say, for example, with the business at the moment, like we'll have some good months and, you know, hire some great people and keep building the team, and I'll be like, we're doing well, and then I'll like sit down and do a session with him for like 2 hours, and I'll be like, fuck, we suck. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll just get checked back to ground zero. And I'm just like,
because you're looking at X amount of 7-figure revenue and you're thinking, fuck, I'm doing all right here. And then you go into a room where someone's, you know, the next guy's doing 40, the next guy's doing 100. It's like, fuck. And it's like they got 200 employees and I know it doesn't become it's not a dick swinging competition with how many people you employ and all that stuff, but it's like if that's what you aspire to do, then obviously that's going to give you a reality check every time you step in there, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's also just like, purely from like a responsibility kind of obligation standpoint. Like I see that like the business that we're in and like what we're doing right now like has massive potential, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I agree.
cool.
Yeah.
So like if we fuck this up, like that's just
Stupid.
It's a waste.
It's a waste of your time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if I just get it this far, it's just a waste.
Well, with your business and everything that you're doing, you are in an industry with massive growth, so much. You could have another 17,000 competitors walk into that market tomorrow, and it wouldn't be a piss in the pond. Like it's like literally that it's that wide open to do something, and you've probably got maybe like a 3-year window to really go and dominate your space,
Correct.
right? And you just got to make. I know you've already made the decision, but you just have to sit there and say to yourself, "Do I want to dominate this space, or do I just want to turn over a couple of mil?" And there's a totally different conversation. But neither one is right or wrong. It's just whatever suits you at the time.
That's right. Yeah,
and
each people have different thresholds as well.
100%.
You know what I mean? It's like, and it's also based on also like I guess your burn rate. You know, say for example, personally, you churn through 100K a month in cash. So your lifestyle, you know what I mean? It's always like reverse engineers based on your engineered based on your lifestyle.
Now you need to earn 1.2 million a year just to break even, don't you?
That's exactly. If you're driving the whole Ute, then I mean it's probably pretty easy. And you're all good. You don't need like tens of millions, hundreds of millions. But you know, if you're escalating your lifestyle and you like nice things and you want to do great things to the planet, then you're probably going to need a bit more money. You know?
And so, and obviously you what you teach people essentially now is like sell shit. That's what you teach people, isn't it? Really, like you teach people how to. You're empowering people that are going from like $1,800 a week. You're empowering them to say, look, sell stuff, and you can write your own ticket. You can write your own thing. Yeah. I think sales is something that should be taught in schools. Like, we should come out of school regimented on sales. It's the most important thing, because at every level of your life you're selling. You're selling yourself to that future girl that you're going to date. You're selling yourself to an employer to an employer you don't even want to work for. You sell, you know what I mean? Like you're selling the fact of, oh mate, we should go to the gym right now instead of later. You know what I mean? You're selling me the idea, aren't you? That's right. Everything's sales. So how can people, like, if they've not got any, if they want to change where they're at right now and obviously move themselves out of that job role and go and get in, what advice can you give them around getting a good sales background, just so that they can start to, you know, earn a few extra bits here and there and then start to put it together and go and do something?
I would say, adopt, like obviously first, if you're not in sales or you don't have any sales experience, you need to do some training, you know, and there's a whole host of, you know, different courses and programs online. I probably would recommend learning like some of Jordan's work. I think it's a really solid foundational understanding of the process. I think it's a great place to start. I think there's also a lot of other material that's complementary to that as well, but that's probably a good starting point. And then I would say to first begin by, you know, offering. The problem that I see is, like, especially with, like, right now, salespeople are in, like, massive high demand. If you're good at what you do, like, you can get paid a lot of money right now. Like, people need it remote, you know what I mean? Zoom calls, video calls, phone calls. People need that massively right now. So what I think can cook that as well is also, like, similar to, you know, like let's say, for example, someone's trying to, you know, win my business, earn my business, and they're coming in and they're offering to, like, work with myself and sell my products and services, and they're like, I'm only taking, you know, 25% commission.
Yeah,
it's like, what? You know what I mean? I don't even know you. Like, a really, really, one of my best sales guys, before he actually started working with us consistently, he was like, I just told him this payment structure that was, like, really low, didn't bat an eyelid. He's like, all right, cool, that's fine. Did, like, 5 sales in, like, the period of, like, 2 days. And I was like, okay, so let's talk about commission. I'm like, all right, well, you kind of got me by the balls.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Because he's proved himself.
Right. And I'm like, and all of a sudden he becomes indispensable. And I'm like, well, I kind of need you. And now you've got leverage. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I would say initially learn some sales material. You know, I think like learning something like the straight line is a great place to start. And then environment's so key, you know, being around people who are thinking and doing similar things to you. Like without that, it's difficult to kind of like upgrade and learn and increase like your skill set over and over again. You kind of stagnate very, very easily, you know?
You got to put yourself in the environment that you envision yourself being in.
That's it.
Because you don't want to put yourself around people that are doing the same things as you if you're not doing the right things. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a classic example, but like if you want to get good at sales, then go and meet some salespeople that are killing it. There's lots of them in your environment. You're just probably not seeing them because you're not looking for it.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
But this goes back to what you were saying before, right? Once you sit down and meditate and you do your morning routine the way that you structured at the start of this podcast, right? Once you start doing that, you're going to put together a clear picture in your mind of how you want your life to look. Once you know how you want your life to look, you can say, okay, well, that job or that role or that selling that aligns me with that. So now you know where you're going. Yep. So now you know who to go and align yourself with. Yep. A lot of people go, right, okay, I need to change my environment. Yeah, but you've not even thought about what you wanted to fucking do.
Exactly.
It's not, you can't just go and do that.
Change it to what? And then it's like, I want to change it to that. Why? Because obviously change is like difficult and there's resistance. So it's like,
yeah,
it's too hard. Stop.
Yeah. But it's so true though. It's so true. Like there's so many. We've all had struggles in this space. Me and you, I think, with like from an immigrant background in this country, it's kind of clear from what I've seen from your story and how and my own story putting it together. It's kind of clear like. You have to get shit on a few times. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And go through a bit of like hard times in order to get a little bit of fruit here and then this and the other. But the growth is never. It's like it's like with sales and with everything that you've talked about in doing online business, the online coaching business, the sales, and everything like that. It's hockey stick growth. It's like there's this slow 3, 4, 5, 6 months where it's like fuck, this is fucking like walking through a mud flap, and then all of a sudden, boom, because all that work that you compounded at the front end, it's like being 6 feet from gold.
100%. It's just. I mean, like anything's like that. Like I was saying on I think the elevator ride up here is like that overnight success that everyone sees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's never anything that's overnight. It's like time spent for years and years and years, like hammering and working at your craft. You know, like. I don't know how much of that's gone into it. How many hundreds of thousands of dollars have been poured into like self-development, business development, like developing your character, your confidence, your charisma, like developing this person. Yeah, overnight success, absolutely.
Well, look at the amount of books that me and you have consumed and online programs and all that other information that me and you have consumed in the last 6 years to even be sat here. Do you know?
That's right.
It's fucking. But if we had looked at it at the start as just this big bulk of information, we would have never been able to get started.
That's right.
But if you want to start reading a book, just start with 10 pages a day.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Just break that shit down.
Because
otherwise you're going to get yourself in a whole world of shit. You know what I mean? And it all becomes this big mess. Yep. And it's just little basic habits, like you're saying, in your lifestyle that allows you to see it. Even what you're saying before about changing, someone who changes their eating habits, right? Change their eating, just drinks more water. You've already got more clarity to think about what you want to do straight away.
Cut the sugar out.
Yeah.
Cut the sugar.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, 100%. But I like a little bit. You got to have a little bit.
I'm a sucker for pink donuts, I must say. I don't have them often, but when I do, I'm just like, damn, this is the best thing ever.
You don't have to eat it every day, but you should be able to have things in moderation. It's just that you need to know moderation. Yeah. I imagine you've got some audacious goals set for the next 12, 18 months. Mm-hmm. What are they?
So we want to hit 50 million in the business in the next 12 months. That's kind of been broken down, and that's been reverse engineered with some of the people that are involved and some of the people that are, I wouldn't say interested in it, but just like, some of my mentors and coaches as well. So we've broken it down and boiled it into, a series of steps and metrical kind of things we need to do to achieve it. So it's a matter of, just meeting those milestones piece by piece, aligning the right people, aligning the right kind of capital in the right places, and, managing and mitigating for risk and things that might go wrong and probably will go wrong, and lining things up to reach that target. Yeah, that's the goal.
Do you just work out your earnings per employee and just then times?
Essentially, yeah.
And then times your employees by that much, okay?
Exactly.
So if you're earning $10 million off 10 employees, you know that if you want to get to 50 million, you need another 40 people selling.
Yeah, I mean it's super easy to break it down like that when you say it like that, but it's like,
no, I know it's more complicated. I'm just trying to give people a bit of context.
That's it. But in saying that, that's exactly. It's just like understanding, cost per person. What do they produce, and then replicating that and having the space and I guess being able to facilitate that as well. Yeah,
there's obviously a churn because not every salesperson is gonna do that, but you're gonna get some top performers that do 2-3 mil, and then you get some lower performers that do 750. But it all works out at 1 mil per
average. Yeah.
It all averages out. What other than are you someone that just focuses on that one goal of the 50 mil, or is there other goals that are you've got that are structured?
No.
As well?
So definitely getting like having a wedding this year as well with my fiance. That's something that in the next 12 months we're looking to map out and plan and do as well. So that's something I'm ultra excited about as well. I think that's going to be phenomenal.
I've got news for you. That shit's already been planned years, bro. There's like I don't know what part of this conversation you've missed, mate, but there's no chance that she's not mapped that shit out years ago, mate.
Oh, I know. Oh, but like actually doing the thing. You know what I mean? Having this celebration.
Trust me, mate. I can cast iron guarantee you, and she can listen to this podcast. There's not a chance on God's green earth that there's
that ain't happening.
No, mate. She'll pull out a box later when you get home, and it'll be like from 2000 and whenever you met, right? And it'll be like she'll open this file and the dust will fall off it, and it'll just be a plan of attack for like the 12-month plan of a wedding.
The entire 48 months that have passed. This and then this.
Yeah,
and then this.
Yeah, 100%.
That's like I feel like females' memories are like that. Hey, it's like a big filing cabinet. You say something, they're like.
Yeah, they pull it out, mate.
I remember that on the 16th of July. You said, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, 100%.
It's surreal. Yeah,
unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable thinkers, and they do rule the world. Like there's nothing that men don't decide shit.
Yeah,
we don't. We think we do. We don't. We got, mate. They are honestly they own the fuck out.
But when you think about it, it's like a guy can have all the money in the world, can be like ultra wealthy, ultra successful, so to speak, quote unquote. And the only thing I believe, like when you think about it, that can unseat that man or take him and ruin him in the sense of like focus or what he's doing or how he operates is a female. Right. But having that energy, that attraction to a female, right, that can take him off the path or move him in another direction, or maybe move him in a completely positive and upbeat direction, but it's a female. 100%.
Yeah. But can I just say on that score so that we don't sound completely?
Oh, I love my fiance beyond me. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. Jesus, yeah.
But if you put it, let me put it into this context to wrap it around, because I agree with you from a male point of view, but like I just think no matter whether you're male or female, the most important. That is your most important decision, is like who your person is. Because if you decide, obviously you're going to have a personal relationship, married, that they're the person that either keep you growing or keep you stale. Because of their connotations. Like there's a lot of people in relationships. I see that have vastly outgrown the relationship on one side. It's vastly disproportionate, but one of them's holding the other one back, and it just happens so often.
Yeah. So I understand exactly what you mean. I completely agree with that as well.
It's like let's put it into context. Your missus has backed you at every critical decision. She's gone, okay, cool. Like she's jumped on the ship to sail with you, even when she didn't truly envision it herself. She's like, well, fuck it. This is my man. I'm going to back him. I'm going to jump on the boat. Right. So you got to align yourself with the right person. Yeah. But you're right, male or female. It's like that's the biggest person that could send you down the wrong path, no matter where you are. But yeah, I do think it's worse because women do control the world.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that's cool. I like that context. That puts it in perspective a lot. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's good. Solid.
Did a rescue.
It's close to home. I'm like, got the chills thinking about that. No, it's nice. Yeah, I completely agree, dude. Yeah, it's solid. Yeah.
But where can people find you, get in touch with you, reach out to you, do your programs, everything? Just drop all that information right now for me.
Yeah, so look, Instagram's probably the main place where I hang out the most. I'm always talking about, some different thing, or, check me out on the stories and stuff like that, talking about, I like to get in there. I'd say most days of the week with some value, or some mindset kind of things that people can take away and do. So yeah, I mean, if you got some value out of this, or you learned some stuff, I'd love to hear from you. Even if there was one little thing that might have been said that, sparked some insight, let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback as well. Even if it's negative, I'd love to hear that as well.
There's going to be like
absolutely
15 women reach out to you going, we're not bad.
Oh God, no.
No, I'm joking.
I went to a Pilates class. I went to a Pilates class with my fiance. When was it? On Saturday morning, and it was really interesting because it was like a room of must have been majority dominated by females, and it was just.
And can I just add to that there'd be in Australia, there'd be majority good-looking females.
Yeah, right.
Because we are the lucky country.
I think there's definitely in terms of like females as well. Like, I mean, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but yeah, all the respect in the world. I think in terms of like, I don't want to even go down this path, but man, massive respect for females. I love my mum dearly, and every female that's ever come into my life has always been treated like a princess. So yeah, there's definitely no disrespect in that previous sense.
I'm trying to figure out how this Pilates class came into.
Yeah, I was like, where am I going with this?
Man, I was just watching you dig this hole. I was like, bro, don't go where I think you're going.
Bring it back.
Roll it in. We were closing this so well, and then
we talked about Pilates.
But yeah, full respect to Pilates class, and the views were great.
That's it.
But mate, I will add a link to your website and all your links in the bio. Hey, mate, just shake my hand. Thank you very much for your time on this podcast, mate. I really, really appreciate it. And mate, I believe, mate, behind all this little bit of banter in between, I'd say that a lot of value has been dropped on this podcast. And guys, if you feel like you resonate with anything that we've said in here, if you can obviously let us both know what you thought of the podcast, and if you would be so kind as to go onto Apple and leave a nice review, a kind review, a very, one of them reviews that's just absolutely fucking beautiful. I'd be so buzzed. And mate, again, thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Much love.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you soon.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Frankie Lee Podcast.